Welcome back, everybody, to Constitution Hill. I mean, it's just quite an incredible spot to be broadcasting from with such significance. And it's always nice to be, I don't know if you've ever done it for yourself, elevated above the city and you kind of look down on the city and it brings everything into perspective. You know, sometimes we think things are bigger than they really are, but it's nice to look down and actually see how small everything is and just take it into perspective. Well, I suppose that's what we're doing today, is putting everything in perspective. We're talking about morals. We're talking about perhaps what one could describe as a bit of a moral decay that's happening here in South Africa, and bringing it back to basics, bringing civil organizations, political parties to come together to sign this moral regeneration memorandum that has been put together. But let's talk about the man on the street and what it means to them. I mean, we talk about service delivery. We talk about other civil issues in a particular area. Municipalities are what we really turn to. However, many municipalities have been put under administration for corruption and for fraud. Those are two words that we hear about a little bit too often. So let's talk to the man who, I suppose, knows a little bit more about the ability to serve a community, and that is the SA Local Government Association, Salga CEO, Xolile George. It's good to have you, Xolile. Thank you very much for being with us on the program.
Good morning, Leanne, and good morning to all the SABC viewers.
So we talk about the corruption, the fraud, and this, of course, is as at the heart of this moral decay that we talk about. How do we get back to basics and ensure that the people of South Africa receive what they rightly deserve?
Leanne, first of all, this is a very momentous year for us as a country. In local government, we will be having elections this year, and one of the most important issues that this is the fourth democratic local government. So part of building constitutional democracy for us is to strengthen the arm of accountability. So as we elect public representatives for this year, in particular, we are looking at ethical leadership. How do we make sure that in going back to basics, one of the cornerstone of back to basics is putting people first? So we need to make sure that as we get to this next cycle of local government, the kind of leadership that we had is people who at all times will act in the best interest. They will take their oath of office in terms of ensuring that as councillors, when they take oath of office, they serve the communities. They act in the best interest of communities. So we will be doing as Salga a program immediately when the new councillors are sworn into office, a program that we call induction. And part of the key modules that we have is a module on ethical leadership. How to make sure that councillors will be held accountable for making sure that they improve governance in municipalities whenever there's actions of corruptions. Salga last year convened a conference, in 2013, on anti-corruption. And we made pledges right across as municipal leadership. So we think that strengthening the cycle of councillors that we come with ethical leadership will go a long way to make sure that we strengthen the bond between community and those who are serving them in office. Yeah. And whenever there has to be action to be taken, councillors themselves at all times act in the best interest of citizens. Yeah. So we are quite excited with this partnership with the Moral Regeneration Movement to make sure that political parties today make a pledge to South Africans that they will create conditions of peace around electioneering, but it goes much more beyond that. We want leaders that when they are in office, they act in the best interest of communities. They make sure that they manage public resources in the best interest of the citizens that put them in office, and in particular in local government, because this is the only sphere where we directly elect people. 50% of people that are in local government, ward councillors, are elected directly by citizens. So how do we strengthen that board? So ethical leadership is one of the foundational issues that we want to make sure that in the fourth cycle of local government, we've got best people, we've got people who act in integrity, we've got people who are at all times their own integrity is not under question.
Yeah. You know, this is something, and I know I need to wrap, but just very quickly, this is something we hear all the time, particularly in an election year, that, things are going to change, things are going to be better. But how do we win back the trust of the community? Because you almost feel sometimes when you look around and you see the community members taking to the streets, taking to protesting and just showing how upset they are with the municipalities. How do you win that trust back when, it seems like empty promises?
Well, Leanne, there's some positive signs that we've started to see. A critical mass of our municipalities, because whenever there's wrongdoing, to win public trust, you must act decisively whenever there's an incident. So consequences and accountability is a hallmark of ethical leadership. And one of the issues that we did last year as Salga, and we began to see Auditor General, for instance, around audits, more than 50% of our municipalities started reporting actions whenever there's been conduct of maladministration or corruption. And we're quite pleased about that. But we're also saying it's not enough to have 60% of municipalities reporting actions on accountability and consequences. We want to make sure that all our municipalities, whenever there's an incident, let's act decisively and make sure that there's consequences for any wrongdoing. So we think that part of balancing ethical leadership is not about brandishing commitments, signing pledges. What are we doing on the ground to make sure that we follow through incidences of corruption and make sure that leaders are held accountable?
Lila, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us today. And more importantly, I think it's just signing this memorandum that just, like I said, removes us from everything and makes us just, come down to basics, which is what's all important. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much, Elia.
All right. Lila George is the CEO of Salga. That, of course, is the SA Local Government Association that really looks at the responsibilities of councillors, of service delivery, and that important issue of touching the lives of ordinary South Africans when it comes to service delivery. All right, let's take a break from Constitution.